Welcome back to another episode of Between the Ears. I'm your host, Chris Hall. Want to give my final thoughts on the season opening loss to Penn State. I'm just going to start off individually on the phases defense. Um, we'll start with the huge negative, the secondary. Uh, that was rough, giving up 325 yards to Allar. Definitely give some credit uh, to that staff and the offense. Allar played well, extended plays. Um, I really just kind of thought with the defense, the secondary and the defense, they were playing too far off the ball. Allard took advantage of some of those situations with some quick passes to the outside. Really kept the secondary on their heels all game. It is a lot of those guys are learning to play together. Uh, First time playing together like that, they were going to hit some bumps along the way. I just would like to see more physicality on defense in that secondary. They acknowledge it even right after the game that they need to play tighter on the receivers, and obviously during the weekly press conference. Linebacker was an issue. Will linebacker was definitely an issue coming in the season. Koba moved over to the will linebacker. Trey Lathan moved to middle linebacker. I thought it worked out well. Koba, absolutely fantastic game. 13 tackles. Like Neal Brown said, he definitely showed that he belonged uh, on the same field with the number 7 team in the country. Um, there was some missed tackles by Lathan, but Singleton, obviously a great running back. Uh, he was well written about in the preseason. 1,000 yards as a freshman. He's a tough kid to bring down. Defensive line, I thought played pretty well against that Penn State offensive line. I know Jed Drenning showed a screenshot. There's been some screenshots out there of the offensive line holding, and it's true. There was definitely a hold on Mike Lockhart when Penn State went up 21-7 with that touchdown in the end zone. So yeah, they got away with it. You like to see those plays called because then they can't get away with it throughout the game. Maybe the defense line gets a little pressure. Maybe the outcome's a little bit different in that regard. But just mentioned Mike Lockhart. He had a nice game. And Eddie V. Finally getting to see Eddie V. I thought he played at a high level as well. And the Day Day Hawkins and Tamiwa. I probably just botched his name. Really, there was a lot of guys that kind of stepped up defensive line. Really loved the pursuit. Never quit. Mike Lockhart, I think, got a little winded on one play. Maybe a little cramp there, chasing the ball down the field, well down the field, and got the tackle. And that kind of moves us to the offense. Um, we'll start with the good here. Offensive line, I thought we played really, really well. Lived up to the hype. Even on fourth and short, when they knew the quarterback sneak was coming, they were still able to get push, kind of go right into the running game. CJ was worried about his conditioning. He couldn't stay in the game last year, but he can tell that he really worked hard this offseason, just bouncing off. It took 2 or 3 guys to tackle him, and that remained true in the fourth quarter. 18 carries. He delivered a lot of punishment. Can't wait to see what he can do against as the season goes along. That was a big game for him after an injury last year and going against probably one of the better defenses in the country. Thought he played pretty well. Um, that leads us to the passing game. Garrett Green's first big start to open the season at Penn State. I thought he rushed his progressions a lot. Of course, credit Penn State defense for bringing pressure. They were flying around. They really kind of disguised some things defensively, especially in the secondary, and that's probably where he kind of lost some of his reads. Missed Cole Taylor open to keep a drive alive over the middle, and that's where he has the advantage. He knows where the receivers are going to be, and he should be able to read those keys where the safety is lined up on the numbers on the hash. There's plenty of times in the middle where he could have just let it rip over the middle. His guy should have been there, could have moved the chains, but he kept plays alive. He was a fighter. It's what we all thought he was going to be going into the game. I thought going against that defense and that environment, he managed the game really well. But what we were worried about going into the season was playmakers. Can they win some of those 50-50 balls? Can someone just bust out, make a play? Didn't really see that. Green did extend the drive with his legs. Again, that's exactly what you were looking for. But there was a uh, somewhat 50-50 ball. Preston Fox got in the end zone, and also Devin Carter down the right sideline. The drive eventually stalled. They would have probably been up, at least inside 10 and 5. He got in front of the receiver. He it's easier said than done, but somehow he needed to try to high point that ball instead of letting it come all the way down to give the Penn State defender a chance. But outside of that, there wasn't really a lot of opportunities in the passing game for big plays. Again, credit Penn State for bringing pressure. Seems like they dialed up pressure a lot at the right times. Um, Really, I thought, before I go to overall, the trick plays, can't ignore those. Um, the double reverse flea flicker, had he not pitched it back to Garrett Green, he probably picks up first down, could probably went all the way. They completely bit on that play. There was really no one on the backside. There was a couple guys and some blockers there. Had they just kept it going, could have really been a big play. It honestly, after watching this game 4 or 5 times, they it kind of looked like I don't even know if Garrett Green was supposed to get the ball. There was probably a miscommunication, which brings us to the second one on fourth and short. I understand the thought process of trying to make something happen there. I think twice or 3 times before that, West Virginia had lost yards on 3rd and 3 with handling CJ Donaldson the ball, and just 2 plays before he had a 2-yard loss. So I kind of get it. You're trying to make a spark. You weren't getting anything going. And if you go back and watch, Nico maybe just throws it up for his receiver. He was open. Maybe there's recovery time. There's a lot of things that could go on, but he lowered his shoulder in the backfield. The reason I don't agree with it, primarily, I didn't just try to get the first down anyway, but don't put Nico in that situation. He's not been in that situation. He didn't see it. I thought he just kind of panicked there and lowered his shoulder in the backfield. Overall, I think the difference really was the two defenses. That defense returned 6 starters from last year, highly all with accolades coming into this preseason, accolades coming into the season. They returned 20, I think it's 20 letter winners on defense. That group has played together, and that really is the difference. That's why they were able to make stops when they could. That's why they're able to kind of just lock down those receivers. And West Virginia is still trying to piece together their defense, losing all the NI gals, NIL, and transfer portal. You go back and look at the Drayshawn Millers of the world. There was multiple defensive backs they lost at a young age that really could have provided depth. They returned some guys that had experience from last year that are kind of thrown into the fire. They got that experience. Again, tough ass to do it at Penn State, but little things I think that could have helped them because Penn State wasn't coming in with a lot of receivers. They definitely should have did some more press coverage. Obviously, then they were taking advantage of that, and that was really to me the difference. West Virginia matched them with physicality, and they matched their speed. The only difference is that group has been playing together. That's why they're one of the dark horses to get to the playoff. There's some that's picking them to win the national championship. I don't know how they're going to beat Bama or Georgia. It doesn't make them any better. There's a good chance they may win the Big Ten. Still got to play Ohio State. The mission to even get the Big Ten championship, but they're going to be a good team to watch looking forward. When you're kind of looking at it, they got that garbage touchdown late. Uh, no way. I don't think anyone should be upset by that. And that's good tape for West Virginia. On that final touchdown that Penn State had, the big thing was they had 5 wide receivers, and it was quarterback draw. Whether they just gassed at the end or just maybe the fight was out of them, they got to recognize that. Good tape for the future. So I don't think that West Virginia is that far off. They're probably not going to play as good as a team like that until maybe Oklahoma. But they still got a lot of tough matchups for the rest of the season. And on there, because me and Skylar is going to get together this week, release a show Wednesday. We're going to revisit our preseason predictions, see if they changed, maybe they improved, did they get worse. And then we got him and Eugene doing preview for the Duquesne. We got a lot of previews coming up for the Duquesne game this week 2 for the home opener. So be sure to follow us on Facebook and Twitter at Mountaineers Now. Hit the subscribe button on YouTube and follow me on Twitter at WV Hallbilly. And we'll see you until then.